12 months ago, I was literally broke, depressed, fat as hell, and lonely. And that's something that I really had to learn to overcome. Now I have the girl, I have the car, I have everything you could have asked for because I decided to change my lifestyle. I decided to change things in my life that I thought were unchangeable, but realistically, it wasn't from any laws of attraction or anything that anybody talks about on the internet. It was literally me having to hate myself and hate the person that I was in that moment. So I had to create myself a future in my head to get to that future. I remember working at a coffee shop, literally broke as hell. I was making like $10.50 an hour. I would literally wake up in the morning from 5 a.m. to get to work, and then afterwards get off around 12 to 2. And then after that, I would literally grind at the gym. Or if I came in later throughout the day, I would literally grind at the gym at 5 a.m. I'd switch it up because I needed to grind so I can lose the 120 pounds, and then I would go to work. And that was honestly a really, really tough lifestyle. You can't literally make any excuses when you say like you can't go to the gym or you can't do this or that. Like, it's literally a time where you have to break out from yourself and grind for yourself because you have to hate the situation you're stuck in. Imagine trying to sleep at night and you literally can't sleep at night because when you go to sleep, you're literally drowning in your sleep or you're choking in your sleep. It's literally one of the worst things. I used to have sleep apnea because I used to be about 320 pounds. I lost 120 pounds in that process. And I remember even going further back, I was working for a business that I was doing fundraising for. And in that moment, I was 320 pounds. And I would even have to grind then to lose the weight. And that was even tougher because I had to carry tables, I had to set up by myself, I had to lead a team, and it was tough for me, but I was really good at what I did at the selling part. And I was actually able to take that into my future. Those skills that you learned back in the day when you're in the struggle actually become your strengths in the future. You might not think about it then, but then you start to see how it changes everything later on. Especially now running my own business, it's actually something that you get to take with you. The work ethic sticks, and especially if you learn to work hard, that working hard comes with you in the future. And that's something that I can say a lot of people cannot say, is that a lot of people stop with the work ethic, but they don't keep the mindset. You have to keep that mindset of grinding all the time. And going back to those stories, man, it's like literally something that I think about all the time because I was literally broke doing these things. It was getting by with a paycheck that only paid for your rent and only to eat as healthy as you can. Like I said it right now, as healthy as you can. It's not the stuff that you want to eat. It's not the stuff that you think that are beneficial for you. It's not whole foods. It's none of those things. It's literally what helps you get by, and you're still eating processed food, so you're not accounting for your diet, but you try your best. And something that really did help me in that process was meal prepping my meals and taking them to work with me. So when I was fundraising at that time, I was literally meal prepping my meals for myself and eating them at work. I wasn't eating out. Or if I was working at a Walmart or something like that, I remember going in to get myself a rotisserie chicken, and those rotisserie chickens would literally sustain me throughout the whole day. Eating a rotisserie chicken and then getting a little side of bread that would keep me carved up and give me my energy for the day was something that really did sustain me. But again, like I said, those are not lifestyles you want to live, especially eating rotisserie chicken all the time. That's something that had so much salt in it and sodium contents that I was always bloated and my stomach always hurt. So you can't always stick to a rotisserie chicken diet, and that's what I mean by just getting by. So moving forward, seeing where I've come from and how I progressed, I remember those days too. It would be really tough because I would be driving 6 or 7 hours out and I would be stuck with my thoughts. Do you know how hard it is to be stuck with your thoughts when you're 320 pounds and you feel like you can't lose the weight? You feel like you'll never be successful? It's literally a mindset. You get stuck in a mindset where you become your own prison. You get prisonized in your own brain, and all you think about is the suffering you go through every day. That's not a way to live. You have to actually hate those things in that moment. You have to hate the way you're thinking and want to better yourself for your future. So then what I did is eventually I ended up quitting that job, and my boss actually begged me to stay because I was so good at what I did at that job. And I honestly couldn't do it because I knew it wasn't good for me for my next season, and I was always trying to grow. But at that job, I actually shredded about like 30 to 60 pounds on my way there. And then when I moved on to my next job, I got a job opportunity because originally I wanted to do culinary. I wanted to be a chef and I wanted to cook and open up my own restaurant. But eventually dreams started to move from there. I didn't end up opening up my own restaurant. I actually ended up running a different type of business, and it's actually very successful. It works for me. But that's just to prove to you that even if you feel like you're doing something in the moment, you can eventually change your mind to do something later on and change your whole shift. So let's just say, for instance, you get stuck at school and you're doing school for 4 years for a bachelor's in something that you want to grow in and a skill. If you feel like you want to change it, just change it, because that literally is your future in the future. But don't be afraid to change. That's like the best advice I can give you. But going back to those stories, if I was afraid of the change, I wouldn't be where I am at now. And I'm making a lot more money than I was then. I'm not only just getting by, but now it's sustainable. It's definitely something that's overpouring. And moving on from that point, something that did grow was my confidence in losing the weight, right? So then I started working at the coffee shop. And then I started being a chef there. So I didn't really be a barista at the coffee shop. I was actually the chef there. So keep in mind this also. As a chef, you have to taste everything. As a chef, you have to make sure that the food is ready. So think about what I had to go through and endure in my mind. The thing that I would have to keep in the back of my mind was literally, don't eat the food here. Don't eat the food here. Don't eat what you cook. You just have to taste it and move on and eat your meal prep. That's literally something I did for those years. But you know what? I even got sick and tired of working at that coffee shop because I knew in myself I can do better. That's always my mindset, is I can do better. You never want to be complacent with that mindset that you have and just do what you think you're going to do. You have to get out of that and then eventually evolve from there and do something that you think you can do for yourself and that is actually achievable. But take little steps at a time. Like for me, what helped me boost my confidence was actually losing the weight. Losing 60 pounds allowed me to get another job that was a little bit more mobile, and it made me a little bit more agile because I had to cook things in a certain amount of time, and that in itself was really rough. You wouldn't think about that, but cooking food at a certain amount of time makes you work fast. And that's something that I was able to incorporate in my next set of skills when I moved on to my next job and started building the business like that. So we're talking about like literally having to move from that old mindset into a new mindset. It's literally, you have to keep hating yourself in that process. So when I got to this coffee job, at first I was happy with what I was making, but it was still only getting me by. It was only something that was only getting me by in the moment. I wasn't able to move on from there, and I would literally still have to grind at the gym after work or before work, depending on my schedule. Luckily, I was always able to have a gym bro that actually helped me a lot. He was able to push me past like my limits, especially by calling me fat every day. That's actually something that really helped me. See, like if you don't remind yourself where you're like complacent in, you're never gonna change. That's something that actually really helped me. You need people in your life that are gonna push you to do better in your life. If you stay with people that are complacent, you're only gonna stay complacent with them. And that's even a business mindset in general. If you wanna grow a business, if you wanna grow in your life, you have to get outside of that moment. And that's something that really did help me. Was my friend actually did speak into my life so much, because he reminded me I was fat every day too, where I would even receive a text message at 6 in the morning to 5 o'clock in the morning at times because we were going to the gym, and he'd just tell me I'm fat. And guess what? That did motivate me to lose a lot of weight. But you know, that's what I'm trying to say. When the confidence comes, you're able to talk to girls, you're able to talk to different types of people, and now I have a fiance. Moving on from that point, from being lonely and having nothing, now I have a fiance that first became my girlfriend. She was a magnificent person, helped me get through a lot of obstacles in my life, and pushed me to be a greater person, and also pushed me to even go further in my business. And that's something that I would encourage a lot of people to do, is get more confident in yourself when you start losing the weight, because you're gonna look back and realize you're not gonna be as heavy set anymore. And that's something I refuse to do, is put on those pounds again. You know, that's something you should refuse. It should be some type of trauma in the back of your mind that you think of all the time, where you're like, I'm not gonna gain that weight again. Because you know, if you gain that weight, that confidence is gonna disappear. Your life is just gonna go in a spiraling hole, and you're gonna end up where you were before. So that's honestly a mindset though. You have to get that grind in you. And honestly, like I just got engaged this year, which was one of the best decisions of my life, because she's even pushing me to do better now. And that's something I can say. But looking back, even 12 months ago, looking back to my life, it was a really, really, really tough place to be, because you're talking about someone that wasn't just fat, but you're talking about somebody that was morbidly obese. We're talking 320 pounds, guys. And I had to literally turn that fat into muscle. But it all started with a mindset of me hating the person I used to be. And hating that person made me the person who I am today, because I realized I don't ever want to look at that person. I realized when I look at those pictures, I'm like, I despise that person, who that person was. And yeah, it might have been a different version of me, but that's not the version of me today. The whole mindset is completely different, where I was lonely, depressed, complacent. The biggest thing is complacency. If you stay complacent with your life, nothing will ever change. And that usually starts with your diet. That starts with how you wake up in the morning, how you start your grind, and starts with your mindset realistically on how excited you are to start the day. Because you need an excitement to start your day. You need an excitement to realize this is another day that God has given me, and I'm gonna do something with this day that I didn't do before. And it's all right if you're struggling with all of those things and you're going through the same things I used to go through. It's not hard to break out of that cycle, but you're gonna have to want it for yourself, and that's where it comes. And going back to all those places, now I'm definitely making a significant amount of money, and coming to the place where I can get my own place. I'm not afraid to move to anywhere I need to move because I'm making online money. I'm literally working from home all the time. And that's something that I can say really helped me build my confidence to get this job and also build this business. Because if I didn't do that in the beginning, and originally I started off working as a patient care coordinator at Doctors of Hearing, which was a really, really bad place to start, because honestly, it kept me fat. I honestly didn't have any motivation. I didn't start anywhere. I was just eating all the time, whatever I wanted, ordering Uber Eats to work, or just walking downstairs to go to the fastest place I can eat. Then from there, I moved all the way from California to Houston. I ended up working at this fundraising job, and the fundraising job was only keeping me at a capable place where I was only able to pay for my rent and a good amount of food, but not enough to sustain myself and help me lose the weight. And eventually I moved on to the coffee shop. The coffee shop really didn't do anything for me, but it did boost my confidence. And when I say this, because you get to even build your social skills when you're like big, it's really hard to build social skills because you're embarrassed of what people would think of you. You're embarrassed of who you're talking to because you're thinking to yourself, are these people even gonna listen to me? Are they looking at my double chin? Are they looking at my man boobs? Are they looking at my stomach sticking out, or any of those things? You know, and that really brings down your confidence. But when you start to lose the weight and you start to gain muscle, it actually really starts to boost. You really start to not get into yourself, but you really start to get the confidence boost, and it helps you with your social skills. So if you're struggling with the social skills, go to the source part, which is your weight. Go to your health, and you'll realize that's a place that you can change. And that's something I had to do. And then eventually when I started making enough money at this job and building it into a business, I was actually able to scale this business, and then it also started to grow a lot more. And it helped me realize that I can eat my food at home. I can meal prep at home. I started eating a lot of egg whites, a lot of sweet potato, a lot of potato, a lot of chicken, a lot of beef, a lot of steak. And eventually I was able to build myself into losing the fat and gaining the muscle. But another thing is don't forget the cardio. If you have an active job, like for instance, I'll give you an example. Back then I had active jobs where I was literally working outside and helping with the fundraising. I was working outside as a chef, so I was getting a lot of steps in. But now that I work from home, now I have to count my steps, and I actually have to do cardio sessions. I have to up the cardio a lot more, get my 10K steps done a day, and that's something that I really have to focus on now. But back then I didn't have to worry about those things. The weight was just shredding because I was automatically getting more than 10K steps a day. And that's something that I will tell you, that if you're stuck in that place and you're really sick and tired of being complacent, you need to learn to start hating your life to get the life that you've always wanted. And that's exactly what I did.